Well, the Republican National Convention is going on right now, and Herschel Walker decided to speak out for his buddy Donald Trump. It's always interesting when you have a black person who supports Donald Trump. He's got an interesting cast. I remember D.L. Hughley said something interesting where he said that Donald Trump only accepts black people that he could ridicule, essentially.
Trump only likes a certain type of black person. He only likes, he hates Colin Powell, but he loves Kanye. Like he fucking like he hates he hates Diamond Waters, but he loves Diamond and Silk.
Yeah.
Like he picks niggas for a specific reason.
Ridicule.
It always and like it's always like he, whether you like Barack Obama or not, he's a remarkable man.
Mm-hmm.
He's you can't say he's average. He's a better human being than Trump. Here's the thing: if you had a child that grew up and became Barack Obama, regardless of the political ideology he espoused, you'd be proud. Yeah. If you knew your baby's gonna grow up like Donald Trump, you'd drown that motherfucker in a bathtub.
When you look at the Kanye West of the world, or you look at those two women.
Yep. Yeah.
Like when you see the people around him, this is not really the cream of the crop.
Omarosa.
Omarosa. Yeah, like it goes on and on. So it's kind of like it's a very interesting thing. When you saw Herschel Walker get up there, and this was a phenomenal athlete at one point in his life, Heisman Trophy winner and so forth. Wasn't he working with Trump on the?
I feel like he was.
Remember there was the XFL or the?
No, the USFL.
USFL.
Yes,
there we go.
Yes,
wasn't he one of the big players on the USFL, and
was.
Trump was one of the owners of one of the teams and so forth. So he goes back. Mm-hmm. He goes back with him. What did you think when you saw Herschel speaking like that?
Well, yeah, it was just kind of sad because I think that, what Herschel Walker doesn't understand is that he wouldn't be speaking at the Republican National Convention. He would not be friends with Donald Trump if he were not a black person who was considered to be an all-time great football player. He had to provide a service of entertainment. There's a long history of black people who entertain white people who have been let into a particular circle of white people because they entertain them. And I don't think he really understands, that relationship. Like, you're there because you used to entertain Donald Trump. That's why. That's the basis of your friendship.
It's like a Sammy Davis Jr. situation.
Yeah, exactly.
With Nixon. Mm-hmm. Remember when he was had his head on his shoulder and stuff like that? Which he never was able to really live down.
No.
Like black people kind of
held that against him. Yeah.
To his dying day.
Totally did.
Yeah.
And so it's people who, because there are some, I still remember the meeting that, I think it was at Trump Tower where Jim Brown was there. Right. Jim Brown, who has, been a civil rights icon for a long time. And you would think, why is Jim Brown in the same company of Donald Trump? And I think what a lot of people in Herschel Walker's, a lot of black people in Herschel Walker's position don't really understand is that if you were not considered by him and by people, in that circle to be a different kind of black person, then you wouldn't be in that circle. It's something I call the Sal's Pizzeria syndrome. If you've seen Do the Right Thing, there's that scene in the movie with John Turturro and Spike Lee, and he's talking to Spike Lee. Somebody calls on the phone, and he picks up the phone, and he's frustrated with the call, and as soon as he hangs up, he calls them the N-word. Spike Lee pulls him aside and said, "Hey, how is it that you can call us that, but all your favorite entertainers are black people? You like Magic Johnson, you like Prince. You got famous black people on the wall there at Sal's Pizzeria." And John Turturro says, they're black, but they're not like black. And that's how Herschel Walker doesn't understand he's being viewed. It's like, oh, they know you're black, but to them, you're not black, meaning that you're not a black person who can't do anything for him. Find me a black friendship that Donald Trump has where they can't do anything for him. I'd love to see what it is. I'd love to see what that looks like. Even having the Kentucky Attorney General, Daniel Cameron, there to speak. Does he think he would have that platform if he had brought charges against Breonna Taylor's
Breonna
killers,
Taylor, yeah.
he would not be there. The reason he is there is because he hasn't brought those charges and because he's been a Trump supporter who is seen as somebody who can do something for Donald Trump.
Right. And once again, a person he could ridicule. Here's this black guy who's not going to charge these cops for killing Breonna Taylor in a no-knock search warrant.
Mm-mm.
You know, and I've interviewed this rapper named Turk, who had one of these no-knock search warrants happen at his house. He ended up shooting one of the cops, thinking it was a home invasion. You know what I'm saying? He ended up going to prison and so forth. But, you know, this whole concept of we're just going to bust into a house, not knowing who's in there, not knowing if there's children, if there's women, if it's even the right house. Because I heard a story recently about a no-knock search warrant into the wrong house.
You would think that the liability behind a no-knock warrant would be enough not to ever have a no-knock warrant. Because, again, if you don't know, there's so much, not misinformation, but there's so much that they don't know when they do these things. It would just seem like a walking disaster all the time. But as we, have found out with not just Breonna Taylor's case, but like so many other cases, is that as long as the police have qualified immunity, as long as they are not held liable personally for the things that they do, then their reckless behavior has no checks and balances. And, the people who still continue to make excuses for what the police do, I encourage them to think about this from just a fiscal standpoint, because there's a lot of people who consider themselves to be fiscal conservatives. Look at the amount of lawsuits cities have to settle for reckless police behavior. It's absurd. That's taxpayer money. Mm-hmm. That's money you're paying for somebody else to be bad at their job. So at the very least, from that standpoint, that should be enough for you to want more accountability. You would think that's a very easy argument to sell. The reason it isn't is because who the police often hurt. Because I guarantee you, if they go recklessly knocking on some white people's door and invading white people's houses, it'd be an entirely different landscape for how this is looked at. If we had a bunch of videos of white people having somebody else's knee on their neck, or of white people being shot in the back 7 times, this wouldn't even be a discussion. The police would have been reformed and reimagined a long time ago. But as always, it's about who this cruelty is for. That has been at the center of why it is allowed to persist. Because it's us, because we matter less, because brown people matter less, then people are okay with how the police behave. It's the same thing with COVID-19. Once people figured out who was dying and who was being disproportionately affected, then everything wants to be reopened. Then it's okay for schools to reopen and for schools and businesses and all that to be reopened, because they know that the people most likely to be sacrificed is us, because we're on the front lines. We're the essential workers in this country. So I shouldn't even be surprised anymore that this level of cruelty and inhumanity, Black people once again find themselves subjected to.
Well, the white couple that pointed guns at the protesters are actually speaking at the RNC. And someone pointed out that Candace Owens is not. After everything she's done against Black people. Supported the police shooting George Floyd.
Yeah.
Claimed it was his own fault. Every line that she's crossed in the Black community, she still could not get a slot at the RNC.
It just goes to show you that no matter how many boots you lick, at the end of the day, that they are only going to see you as a useful tool for stupidity. And now that, they appear to be not as invested in her, I guess you can maybe read that into it from her lack of appearance there. Same thing with Diamond and Silk. It's like,
right.
Suddenly it's like, that's the way it goes. It's like, you've done all the tap dancing that they want you to do. And now it is what it is.